So hello everyone, today we are going to start chapter 3 of class 12 psychology, that is meeting life challenges. Now whenever I say the word stress, you recall those incidents of your life which have exhausted you both mentally and physically. Now it can be your breakup in a long-term relationship, it can be financial issues, it can be family issues, it can be career related issues and so on. In all these events, you have experienced some amount of stress. Now from psychological point of view, stress is a pattern of response that we give to the stimulus that disturbs our equilibrium or the normal conditioning, and it exceeds our capacity to cope up with it. Means we feel that we can't deal with that or we can't overcome that. Then Hans Selye, he's the father of modern stress research. According to him, stress is the non-specific response of our body to any demand. That means he believed that it doesn't matter what kind of problem you face, you are going to give the same bodily response every time. However, later we are going to critically analyze this statement. Now there are two types of stress, that is eustress and distress. Now eustress is actually good for us because it helps us to get to that peak performance and managing minor crisis. Now you can ask how stress is good for us, because it reminds us to push our boundaries and practice and rehearse a lot before giving your performance on the stage. For example, we all have felt some amount of anxiety before giving any kind of examination, before facing the interviewer, and even performing in our school, whether it is your poem recitation, whether it's debate, whether it is song, whether it is dance, any competition. The other stress is distress. Now distress causes our body wear and tear. Now that means we start giving physical symptoms of it, means we feel nervous, our hands become shaky and we are unable to even perform better. So here the example can be that if you are having eustress, means you are feeling stress before giving the interview, it's fine. But if the stress increases, as a result you are not able to speak even a word in front of the interviewer, here the main culprit is distress. The term stressor means those events that cause our body to give the stress response. Now it can be because of crowding, it can be because of bad relationship, it can be because of noise. So just imagine you are in a crowded bus in summer in scorching heat and how irritating it feels. So it is because of those external stressors, and the reaction that we are going to give is called as your strain. Strain means the response that we give to our external stressors. Now we are going to discuss about the critical evaluation of Hans Selye definition. As I have told you earlier, that Hans Selye believed that it doesn't matter what kind of problem that you are having or what kind of stimulus is there, you are going to give the same response. However, it is wrong, because different kind of stressors produce different kind of response. The response that you are going to give when you are in a crowded place is going to be very different the response that you are going to give when you are having a breakup. It's going to be different when you are going to face a financial crisis or any kind of family issue. So here we have to understand that different stressors provide different responses. Talking about the nature of stress, we have to understand that stress is part of our life. We can't eliminate it all of a sudden. We are going to face it throughout our life. Stress is neither a stimulus nor a response, but it is an ongoing transactional process between the individual and the environment. It is a dynamic mental or cognitive state which imbalances our equilibrium, and thus there is a requirement for its resolution. Then comes the cognitive theory of stress, which was propounded by Lazarus and his colleagues. So according to him, the perception of stress is dependent upon the individual cognitive appraisal that they make and the resources that are available to deal with that. Now there are two kind of appraisal. First is your primary appraisal. In primary appraisal, it means the perception of a new or a changing environment as positive, negative or neutral based upon its consequence. Now negative events can be appraised as possible harm, threat or challenge. Now harm is the damage that has already been caused by the event, so it is in the past, whereas in case of threat, it means the possible damage that can be caused by, or means that can be brought up by the event, that is in future, whereas challenge refers to more confident expectations to the ability to cope up with it and even profit from the situation. Then comes your secondary appraisal. So in secondary appraisal, we have to assess that the coping abilities we have and the resources that we are going to have, is it going to be sufficient to meet the harm, threat or challenge of the event or not. So there are a lot of resources. First is your mental resources, which includes your knowledge, information and abilities. Then comes your social resources, which includes your support networks and professional help. Then comes your physical resources, which can be your money and medical care. And last but not the least is personal resources, which is your skills and coping styles. Then comes the topic, the factors affecting our cognitive appraisal. What are those factors which influence what kind of perception or understanding we are going to have about that stressful situation. The first point is about our past experience. So if you have faced a similar kind of issue or a problem in your past and you have successfully overcome that, then you are more confident that in present you can tackle that situation. And the second point is about your controllability. Now controllability doesn't mean that you are going to have some power over the situation. Here it is related to the belief. Now if you believe that you have control over the onset of negative impacts or its adverse consequence, then you are going to feel less stressful as compared to those who feel that they don't have any control over the situation. Then comes the topic, the stress reactions, or we can say the strains. First is a physiological reaction. We have to understand that arousal plays a very important role in stress related behavior. Now here the hypothalamus initiates action into two pathways. The first pathway involves your autonomic nervous system. The adrenal gland releases large amount of catecholamines into the bloodstreams, which help us to give the stress response, which is either to fight or to flight. Then the second pathway, it involves your pituitary gland, which releases your corticosteroids or cortisols, which provide us energy. Then comes your behavioral reaction. Now virtually it is limitless based upon what kind of stressful situation we are exposed to, but there are two common things. First is having a confrontative action against or towards the event, that is fight, or direct withdrawal from it, which is called as flight. Then comes your emotional reaction. Now when we are experiencing stress, then we also experience fear, anxiety, depression, even denial and other things. Now then comes your cognitive reaction. In cognitive reaction, there is inability to concentrate and there is a lot of repetitive and morbid thoughts revolving in our mind. Now let's know about the dimensions of stressors. First is your intensity. So if there is a more intense stressful situation, definitely in that case you are going to feel very stressful as compared to a less intense stressful situation. Then comes your duration. If there is a long-term stressful situation, you are going to feel both mentally and physically exhausted as compared to when you are exposed to a short-term stressful situation. Then comes complexity. Now from complexity, I mean if a lot of things just get together and mess up the things, definitely you are going to feel very stressful about it as compared to a less complex situation. Last is your predictability. Now if a lot of unpredictable things started happening, you are going to feel that you are unable to overcome that, whereas if a lot of predictable things happen, it won't give you that much stress. For example, if you know that soon you are going to lose your job because you have performed horrible and your CR are down, then it won't give that much stress as compared to someone who have worked so hard and is an excellent employee, and all of a sudden someone just holds them a resignation letter that you are no more a part of this company or an organization. In that case, definitely you are going to feel very, very stressful. Then comes your physiological strength. Definitely your physiological strength plays an important role in understanding or giving a response to the stressful situation. If you are going to have a good health status and a better constitution, then you are better resourced to tackle a stressful situation as compared to someone who have a deteriorating health status. Then comes your psychological characteristics like your mental health, your temperament and self-concept. If you are going to have a better self-concept or a better temperament, then definitely you are better resourced to tackle the stressful situation. Then comes your cultural context. We can't deny the fact that culture also plays a role in the way we defined what stress is, because in India, if last minute food shortage is considered to be a very stressful situation, we can't say that it's going to be that much stressful in some other country or in some other culture. And it just shows what kind of response we need to give, what steps we need to do in that particular situation. Last come your resource. Definitely again the resources that we have, it can be your mental resources like your knowledge, your information. It can be your personal resources, your skills, your coping abilities. It can be money, it can be your medical health, professional health, and so on. Then comes the signs and the symptoms of stress. Now here is a suggestion: don't try to feel that you are, or you don't try to evaluate that you are facing stress based upon the things that I'm going to say right now. Before making any kind of statement, you require a proper psychological diagnosis on it. Okay, so first is lack of concentration, poor decision making, being inconsistent and having difficulty in timekeeping, and there is increased absenteeism. There is difficulty in eating, there is difficulty in sleeping, you have sleep problems or you may have insomnia. Then after that there is worry, fear, anxiety, there is depression, and there is memory loss as well. Then comes your types of stress. First is your physical and environmental stress, which we can categorize as external stress. Now physical stress is related to the demands that cause the change in state of our body, like it can be an injury or when we overexert ourselves physically, or whether there is a lack of nutritious diet and so on. Whereas the environmental stressors or environmental stress is related to our surrounding or those aspects of it which are quite unavoidable. Like you can't avoid the crowding, you can't avoid the noise, you can't avoid the summer's heat or winter's cold and so on. A part of environmental stress is your they are catastrophic in nature, means they are harmful. For example, is a natural disaster like fire, your earthquake, tsunami, floods and so on. Then comes your psychological stress, which we can say that it is an internal stress because we generate this by ourselves in our mind, and it is unique for every individual, means its experience changes from one person to another person. There are some internal sources of this stress. First is frustration. Now frustration means when we are unable or there is blocking of the motives or the goals that you have, and that hinders us from achieving that particular goal. Now here I want to just give you one message. A lot of times I have seen people who just feel that they are unable to get that score, they are unable to be in that post, they are unable to, be with that boy or girl in a romantic relationship, and that's why they are just saying that I am having depression. Now here clearly there is frustration because of some reason or because of something you are unable to achieve that goal. Now don't use the word depression in a different way. It is a very clinical term, and without having a proper psychological diagnosis of it, we shouldn't use that. Okay, now then comes your conflict. Now conflict can happen when we have to choose between two or more incompatible needs. Suppose you are very interested in studying history and also to read different genres of novel. So here the conflict would be whether I should study history for my exam, or I have to just read different genres of novel to expand my vision. Then comes your internal pressure. Now it is based upon the expectations that we have from ourselves. Now we just believe that I must do everything perfectly, even though we know that human being by itself is imperfect. We have imperfect body, we have imperfect height, weight, facial features, body features, and we have imperfect relationship as well. So just expecting that I must do everything perfectly will just lead to disappointment. Then comes your social pressure, which may come from those who have excessive demands upon us. I mean, they want us to do this and that, and they have a lot of expectation from us. And here the problem can even get intensified if you are bound to just work with them, like it can happen in your workplace. Then comes your social stress. Now we know that social stress, as the name suggests, is an external stress, and it just forms out of the interaction that we have from other people. Now here it can be like a death or illness or any kind of that. Even it can be a strained relationship. It can be the having a troublesome relation with your neighbors and so on. Now it varies widely from person to person. Like for an introvert, it can be stressful to attend parties rigorously, whereas for an extrovert it can be stressful to be alone in a room for a long period of time. Then comes the topic, the sources of stress. Now first is your life events. Major life events can cause stress because it disturbs our routine and cause upheaval. If a lot of predictable or unpredictable incidents started happening in a short period of time, we are going to feel stressful in that situation. Second is about the hassles, like it can be noisy surrounding, it can be quarrelsome neighbors, it can be water shortage, it can be traffic issues and so on. Now these are the things that we face on a daily basis. Now if for some reason it gets intensified, we are going to feel stressful in this case. Last is your traumatic events. Now it can be fire, it can be earthquake, it can be terrorist attack, it can be tsunami, it can be flood and so on. Now we have to understand the survivors of this natural disasters can also have symptoms of fear, anxiety, flashbacks, dreams and so on. Now let's know about the effects of stress in psychological functioning. First is your emotional effects. We experience mood swing, we show erratic behavior that tries to alienate ourselves from our parents, our relatives or our close friends. Now it can even start a vicious cycle where there is decreasing confidence, and that can lead to even more issues. Example can be your anxiety, depression, psychological tension and mood swings. Then comes your physiological effects. Now we have to understand when our body is under stress, our body releases a lot of hormones, especially your adrenaline and cortisol. It causes changes in our breath rate, it can change our digestive system, our metabolism, our blood pressure level and so on. So for a certain period of time it is beneficial, but if it persists for a longer period of time, it can have adverse consequence in our body. Like it can slow down our digestive system, and it can even expand the air passages we have in lungs, and it can increase our heart rate and blood pressure. So in this case, we have to understand how this affects our body. Then comes your cognitive effects. So in cognitive effects, one may feel that mental overload that can lead to making faulty decision. Now, because of making faulty decisions at workplace, it can lead to arguments, can lead to financial loss, and it can even lead to being jobless at the end of it. Example can be you're having poor concentration and reduced short-term memory capacity. Then is your behavioral effect. Now it affects our behavior in such a way that we intake a lot of stimulants like your caffeine, and there is increased consumption of cigarettes, alcohol, and so on. Now part of it is your tranquilizers. Now tranquilizers, they are addictive in nature and they have side effects like poor concentration and poor coordination and also dizziness. Example is reduced work performance, absenteeism, and poor decision making.